The massive holographic display lit up the Earth Defense Force Command Center with an eerie blue glow. Admiral James Walker stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his weathered face showing no emotion as the alien message played. Around him, his staff held their breath. "People of Earth," the alien voice boomed, its translator making it sound artificial and cold. "The Galactic Council has determined your world to be a potential threat to galactic peace. Your rapid technological advancement and violent history make you unsuitable for joining civilized spacefaring species." Walker's grip tightened slightly, but his expression remained neutral. 20 years of military service had taught him the value of keeping a poker face. "You have 48 Earth hours to surrender your planet's governance to Council authority," the alien continued. "Failure to comply will result in consequences. We await your response." The hologram flickered out, leaving the command center in tense silence. Walker turned to face his staff, noting their worried expressions, but he saw something else in their eyes too: determination. "Get me the president," he said simply. His aide nodded and began the secure connection process. Within an hour, Earth's emergency response chamber was filled with world leaders, attending both in person and via secure holographic channels. The chamber, built deep under the Rocky Mountains, had been designed for exactly this kind of crisis. President Helen Martinez stood at the central podium, her voice steady as she addressed the gathered leaders. "The threat is clear," she said, "but so is our path forward. Admiral Walker, your assessment." Walker stepped forward, activating a holographic display of Earth's defense systems. "The Council thinks they're being clever," he said, a slight smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "They expect us to either surrender in fear or respond with obvious military preparation. They're watching our orbital movements, our global communications, our military bases." He paused, looking around the room. "But they're not watching what we've hidden in plain sight." The hologram shifted to show a network of seemingly civilian installations scattered across Earth, Mars, and Luna. "For the past 30 years, since we recovered that crashed scout ship in the Atacama Desert, we've been preparing. Every weather satellite we've launched, every communications array we've built on Mars, all dual-purpose installations. We're ready." The Chinese premier spoke up, his hologram flickering slightly. "The Council believes us to be primitive because we still use chemical rockets for our space program." Walker nodded. "Exactly. We kept using old technology publicly while developing reverse-engineered alien tech in secret. They think they're dealing with a planet that barely reached its moon. They don't know about our quantum communications network, our fusion-powered fleet hidden in the asteroid belt, or our planetary shield system." The room burst into excited murmurs. President Martinez raised her hand for silence. "Then what do you suggest, Admiral?" "We play their game," Walker replied. "For the next 47 hours, we make a show of panicked meetings, frightened media coverage, and diplomatic attempts to negotiate. Meanwhile, we activate our sleeping assets and prepare for their attack." He smiled fully now. "Let them think us primitive. Let them think us scared. When they strike, thinking to find an easy target, they'll learn why humanity's violent history is actually our greatest strength." The Russian president's hologram leaned forward. "And our people. The public will panic when this ultimatum becomes known." "We tell them the truth," Martine said firmly. "We tell them Earth is strong, that we are prepared, and that humanity stands united. We've trained for this through 1,000 movies, books, and games. Every child who ever dreamed of fighting off an alien invasion helped prepare our species for this moment." The next 47 hours saw Earth transformed. On the surface, news channels reported the alien ultimatum with appropriate fear and confusion. World leaders made public statements about seeking peaceful solutions. Social media exploded with panic and conspiracy theories. But beneath this carefully orchestrated chaos, humanity prepared for war. Hidden shipyards around Mars hummed to life. Defensive installations across 3 worlds powered up their systems. Soldiers and pilots who had trained in secret for years took their positions. As the deadline approached, Admiral Walker stood once again in the command center. The Council would expect a response soon. He nodded to his communications officer. "Send them our reply," he said quietly. "Keep it simple." The message that went out was just 3 words long. Earth stands united. In high orbit, the planetary shield system silently activated, invisible but ready. In the asteroid belt, Earth's hidden fleet prepared for battle. And in bases across the solar system, humanity's defenders waited, ready to show the galaxy why challenging Earth had been the Council's greatest mistake. The Council's attack began exactly as Admiral Walker had predicted. 300 warships emerged from hyperspace, their massive forms blocking out the stars as they approached Earth. Their formation was perfect, their technology far advanced beyond what Earth was supposed to have. The alien ships moved with absolute confidence, expecting no real resistance. In the Council's command ship, High Commander Vex watched the blue planet grow larger on his view screen. "These humans are even more primitive than we thought," he said to his bridge crew. "They didn't even try to hide their military installations from our scans." His tactical officer nodded in agreement. "Their orbital defenses are pathetic. Just a few primitive satellites and space stations. This will be over quickly." The Council fleet moved into attack position, their weapons charging. High Commander Vex stood from his command chair, wanting to savor this moment. "Begin the attack. Show these primitives the price of defiance." The first volley of energy weapons lit up space like artificial lightning. Thousands of plasma bolts streaked toward Earth, enough firepower to level every major city on the planet. The Council crew waited for the satisfying explosions that would herald their victory. Instead, about 1,000 kilometers above Earth's surface, every single shot hit an invisible wall. The energy weapons splashed harmlessly against a shimming barrier that suddenly became visible, a perfect sphere of bluish energy surrounding the entire planet. "Impossible," Vex shouted, his composure breaking. "They're supposed to be centuries away from shield technology." In the Earth Defense Force Command Center, Admiral Walker allowed himself a small smile. "Activate the defense grid," he ordered calmly. "Let's show them what those primitive satellites can really do." The supposedly harmless communications satellites around Earth suddenly transformed. Hidden panels slid open, revealing advanced weapon systems reverse-engineered from the alien technology Earth had been secretly studying for decades. But the real surprise came from Mars and Luna. What the Council had dismissed as simple mining operations and research stations suddenly erupted with activity. Hidden hangar doors opened in the sides of mountains and craters. Hundreds of Earth ships emerged, their designs unlike anything the Council had seen before. "This is Captain Mary Reynolds of the Earth Defense Fleet," a new voice broadcast on all frequencies. "We've been expecting you." The Earth ships were smaller than the Council vessels, but they moved with incredible speed and agility. They had been designed by humans who had spent centuries dreaming up space battles in movies and games. Every possible tactical advantage had been considered and incorporated. The Council fleet tried to regroup, but they had bunched together too tightly, too confident in their superiority. Earth's ships attacked from all directions, using maneuvers that seemed to defy physics. The human vessels darted between the larger Council ships, forcing them to hold their fire for fear of hitting their own ships. "Impossible," Vex screamed again as reports of losses began flooding in. "Their technology, their tactics. This can't be." That's when Admiral Walker's voice came through on all channels, calm and almost amused. "You know, you really should have asked about our history. Humans have been imagining and preparing for this exact moment for hundreds of years. Every war movie, every science fiction story, every space combat game. They were all training simulations. We've fought this battle 1,000,000 times in our minds. We know every strategy, every counter-move." The Earth fleet moved with perfect coordination, their AI-enhanced battle systems adapting in real time to the Council's tactics. Dozens of Council ships fell in the first hour of battle, their advanced shields useless against weapons specifically designed to bypass them. From his command center, Walker watched the battle unfold exactly as their simulations had predicted. "Send in the second wave," he ordered. "Let's show them why challenging humanity was their biggest mistake." The Council fleet began to retreat in disarray, but it was too late. More Earth ships emerged from hidden bases in the asteroid belt, cutting off their escape route. The mighty Council armada found itself trapped between Earth's planetary shield and a force they had gravely underestimated. High Commander Vex stared in disbelief at his tactical display, watching his fleet being systematically dismantled by what he had dismissed as primitives. The humans weren't just fighting back, they were winning. And this, he realized with growing horror, was only the beginning. The aftermath of Earth's first victory left the Council reeling. In their emergency session, alien leaders argued frantically about how they had been so wrong about humanity's capabilities. But they were about to learn an even harder lesson. Humans don't stop at just defending themselves. Dr. Thomas Anderson stood before the Earth Defense Council, his presentation showing detailed scans of the captured Council ships. "Their technology isn't actually more advanced than ours," he explained, pushing his glasses up. "It's just different. They focused on pure energy advancement, while we developed in multiple directions at once." Admiral Walker nodded, studying the holographic display. "And our AI systems. That's our biggest advantage," Anderson said with a smile. "The Council completely banned artificial intelligence after some incident centuries ago. They think it's too dangerous. But we kept developing it, kept refining it. Our battle AIs learn and adapt in real time." President Martinez leaned forward. "Then it's time for Phase 2. "Yes," Walker replied. "Captain Reynolds is already in position." In deep space, Captain Mary Reynolds sat in her command chair aboard the EDF Thunderchild, Earth's most advanced warship. Her crew worked quietly at their stations, all of them knowing they were about to make history. The ship's eye, which they called Thor, had already calculated their attack patterns. "All ships report ready, Captain," her first officer reported. Reynolds nodded. "Thor, begin the attack sequence. Show them what humanity can really do." The Earth fleet suddenly appeared in 12 different Council systems simultaneously. The Council had thought their faster-than-light detection systems were unbeatable, but they hadn't counted on human ingenuity. Earth ships used a completely different method of FTL travel, one based on quantum tunneling rather than the Council's hyperspace technology. Multiple Council defense fleets responding. Thor reported, its voice calm and measured. "Their patterns match our predictions, implementing counter-strategies." Reynolds watched as her fleet engaged the Council forces. Earth ships moved in ways that seemed to defy physics, using maneuvers developed by human video game players over centuries. The Council ships, for all their advanced weapons, fought like they were following an instruction manual. They had no creativity, no ability to adapt. In the Council's main military base, the alien commanders watched in horror as reports flooded in from multiple systems. Human ships were hitting them everywhere at once, using tactics they had never seen before. Worse, every time they thought they had figured out how to counter a human strategy, the Earth ships would switch to something completely different. "Their ships are learning," one commander shouted in panic. "Every time we adapt, they change tactics." Back on the Thunderchild, Reynolds received a priority message from Earth. "Captain, Admiral Walker's hologram appeared on her bridge. Dr. Anderson has finished analyzing their communication systems, implementing Phase 3 now." Across Council space, their quantum communication network suddenly went dark. Dr. Anderson's team had discovered a fundamental flaw in their system, one that humans had solved decades ago in their own development of quantum tech. With their communications cut off, the Council's carefully coordinated defense fell into chaos. "All ships, press the advantage," Reynolds ordered. "Thor, coordinate with all ship A's. Show them why humanity never feared artificial intelligence." The Earth fleet's attacks became even more precise and devastating. Their AI systems worked in perfect harmony with their human commanders, creating a hybrid of human intuition and machine precision that the Council had never imagined possible. In just 6 hours, humanity had taken control of key Council military installations across 12 star systems. The captured bases revealed even more Council secrets, each one being quickly analyzed and countered by Earth's scientists and AIs. Admiral Walker stood in Earth's command center, watching the tactical display as more and more Council systems turned from red to green, indicating human control. "Send word to all fleet commanders," he ordered. "Phase 3 is complete. Begin preparations for Phase 4. President Martinez, who had stayed in the command center throughout the operation, smiled grimly. "The Council thought they were punishing an upstart primitive species," she said. "Instead, they've awakened a giant that they never truly understood." "And we're just getting started," Walker replied, his eyes fixed on the display showing their next targets. The Council was about to learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their AIs. It was their endless capacity to adapt and overcome. The Council's high command never expected the humans to strike at their core worlds. They believed their inner defense systems were perfect, unbreakable. They were wrong. Operation Thunderbolt began in complete silence. No communication signals, no engine signatures, nothing. The first sign of Earth's attack came when 50 supposedly primitive nuclear weapons detonated simultaneously across the Council's defense network. Nuclear weapons. A Council commander laughed just before the explosions. "How barbaric and useless against our shields." But these weren't ordinary nuclear weapons. Dr. Anderson's team had modified them, using the Council's own shield technology against them. The explosions created quantum resonance fields that shattered the supposedly impenetrable barriers like glass. Admiral Walker watched from his command ship as the first phase of Operation Thunderbolt unfolded. "Status report," he ordered. "All nuclear devices detonated as planned, sir," his tactical officer replied. "Council shields are down across all targeted systems. Their entire defense grid is blind." Walker nodded. "Launch second wave. Let's show them why humans never stop developing primitive weapons alongside advanced technology." Earth's stealth ships, hidden in plain sight using technology that the Council had dismissed as impossible, suddenly appeared inside the defensive perimeters of 20 Council worlds. They had been there for days, waiting for this moment. On the Council's capital world, panic spread through the streets as human ships appeared in the sky. The Council's leaders had always told their people that such an attack was impossible. Their perfect defense systems had made them complacent. "This is impossible," the Council's supreme leader shouted as alerts flooded in from everywhere. "How are they hitting all our worlds at once? How did they get past our sensors?" The answer came in the form of a broadcast from Dr. Anderson, transmitted on all Council frequencies. "Your mistake," he said calmly, "was thinking that newer always means better. Humans never abandoned our old technologies. We improved them, combined them, made them work together in ways you never imagined." Earth's ships demonstrated this truth in devastating fashion. They combined energy weapons with kinetic projectiles, quantum fields with old-fashioned explosives, AI targeting with human intuition. Council forces found themselves facing an enemy that fought unlike anything they had prepared for. "Their ships are everywhere," came the panicked reports from Council commanders. "They're using tactics that make no sense, but they're working." What terrified the Council most wasn't Earth's advanced technology. It was how they used everything at their disposal. When energy weapons didn't work, humans used missiles. When shields blocked missiles, they used electronic warfare. When that failed, they simply rammed their ships into targets, their crews protected by inertial dampeners that the Council had never developed. Walker's command ship moved through the chaos with precise purpose, heading for the Council's military headquarters. "Send the message," he ordered. All across Council space, screens lit up with images of Earth's victory over the first Council attack fleet. "You came to our home and threatened us," Walker's voice rang out. "You thought we would be easy to conquer. Now you see what humanity does to those who threaten our world. The Council's military crumbled in hours. They had built their entire defense strategy around technology they thought was unbeatable. They never prepared for an enemy that used multiple approaches, that combined old and new in innovative ways. "Sir," Walker's communications officer called out, "we're receiving surrender signals from 12 Council worlds. Now 15, 20. Walker stood at his command window, watching Council ships power down their weapons. "Begin Phase 5, he ordered, "and send word to Earth. Tell them the Council's military power is broken." Now comes the hard part. "The hard part, sir?" a junior officer asked. "Yes," Walker replied, his eyes fixed on the Council capital world below. "Now we have to teach them why threatening humanity was the worst diplomatic mistake in galactic history." Behind him, tactical displays showed more Council worlds surrendering by the minute. Humanity's response to their ultimatum had been more thorough and devastating than anyone could have imagined. And they weren't finished yet. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council had never been so quiet. Hundreds of alien representatives sat in stunned silence as Ambassador Robert Thompson of Earth walked calmly to the speaker's podium. No human had ever stood there before. None had ever dared. Thompson wore a simple black suit, carrying only a small datapad. He didn't need anything else. Earth's military victory had already made his point. Now came the real battle, the political one. "Members of the Galactic Council," he began, his voice steady and clear. "3 weeks ago, your leaders threatened my world with destruction. Today, I'm here to show you why that was never going to work." The chamber's massive display screens came to life, showing evidence that Earth's intelligence services had gathered over decades. Secret deals, corrupt agreements, and hidden threats, all orchestrated by the Council's inner circle. "Your leaders didn't threaten Earth because we were dangerous," Thompson continued. "They threatened us because we were right. We discovered their corruption years ago. Every ship we caught, every piece of technology we studied, they all told the same story. This Council wasn't protecting peace. It was protecting power." In the upper tiers of the chamber, representatives from smaller Council races began whispering among themselves. They had always suspected, but never had proof. Now a primitive species had given them everything they needed. Ambassador Thompson, a representative from a mid-level Council race, stood up. "Are you saying Earth knew about the Council's true nature all along?" Thompson smiled. "We've known since we shot down our first Council scout ship 50 years ago. Every threat, every demand for surrender. We saw them coming. We prepared. Not just with weapons, but with truth." The chamber erupted in chaos as more revelations appeared on the screens. The Council's inner circle had been manipulating member races for centuries, keeping them dependent on Council technology, Council protection, Council rules. In a private chamber nearby, Admiral Walker met with representatives from 20 of the Council's smaller member races. They had reached out secretly after Earth's military victory, seeking protection. "We've lived under their shadow for too long," one alien leader said. "We want what Earth has: independence, strength, the right to develop our own path." Walker nodded. "That's exactly what we're offering. Not Earth's protection, but Earth's example. We'll teach you to protect yourselves." Back in the main chamber, Thompson was delivering the killing blow to the old Council's power. "Earth proposes a new charter," he announced. "No more central control. No more forced technology sharing. No more threats of destruction for developing independently. Every race chooses its own path." The Council's supreme leader, looking much less supreme now, tried to object. "You can't simply change thousands of years of galactic law." "We already have," Thompson replied calmly. "Earth's fleet has secured every Council military installation. Your corrupt leadership has been exposed. The choice now is simple: adapt or become irrelevant." In the following hours, vote after vote went Earth's way. Smaller races, tired of being controlled, pledged support for the new charter. Mid-level powers, impressed by Earth's combination of military strength and diplomatic skill, joined as well. The motion passes. The Chamber's automated system announced. The new Galactic Charter is adopted. Thompson stood at the podium one last time. "Remember this day," he said. "Not as the day Earth won a war, but as the day the galaxy chose freedom over control, truth over corruption, cooperation over dominance." Admiral Walker, watching from the side chamber, allowed himself a small smile. The military victory had been impressive, but this was the real triumph. Earth hadn't just defeated the Council. They had transformed it. "Send word to Earth," he told his aide. "Tell them Phase 5 is complete. The galaxy is changing, and humanity will help guide that change." As the chamber began to empty, representatives from dozens of worlds approached Thompson, eager to learn from Earth's example. The species that the Council had dismissed as primitive was now teaching the galaxy a lesson about true civilization. Not everyone accepted Earth's new order. Deep in Council space, the most hardline military commanders gathered their remaining forces for one final stand. They couldn't accept being defeated by primitives. Their pride wouldn't allow it. Admiral Walker stood on the bridge of his flagship, the EDF Determination, as reports came in about the resistance forming in the core systems. He had expected this. Humans knew all about pride and the refusal to accept defeat. "How many ships have they gathered?" he asked his tactical officer. "Over 2,000 vessels, sir. They'd stripped every loyal world of their defenses. It's the largest fleet ever assembled in Council history." Walker nodded. "And our forces?" 800 ships, Admiral. All equipped with our latest upgrades from Dr. Anderson's team. "Send the message," Walker ordered. "Give them one last chance to surrender." The response came quickly. A burst of weapons fire that lit up space. The rebel Council fleet had no interest in talks. They wanted revenge. "Very well," Walker said quietly. "All ships, execute Final Thunder Protocol." What happened next would be studied in military academies across the galaxy for centuries to come. Earth's fleet, apparently outnumbered more than 2-1, split into smaller groups. The Council commanders laughed, thinking the humans had made a terrible mistake. "They're dividing their forces." The rebel Council commander shouted. "Crush them one group at a time." But this was exactly what Earth had planned. Each group of human ships carried a special surprise. A new weapon developed by combining Council technology with Earth innovation. "Launch the drones," Walker commanded. From each Earth ship, dozens of small, unmanned craft emerged. The Council had always viewed drones as worthless, too easy to hack or destroy. But these drones were different. Each one carried a miniature AI core, making them impossible to hack. Each one was armed with weapons that could punch through Council shields. "My God," whispered Walker's first officer as the drone swarmed into action. "There must be thousands of them." 10,000, Walker corrected. "Each one with the combat experience of 100 battles, thanks to our AI training programs." The rebel Council fleet found itself fighting an impossible battle. Every time they focused on Earth's capital ships, the drones would tear through their defenses. When they tried to fight the drones, Earth's main ships would strike with devastating precision. "They're adapting to every move we make," a Council captain screamed over the communication channels. "How are they predicting everything?" The answer was simple. They weren't predicting. Earth's combat AI systems were processing the battle in real time, analyzing patterns, and responding faster than any organic mind could think. Walker watched as the massive Council fleet began to break apart. Some ships tried to flee, others fought to the end, but the result was the same. Humanity's combination of AI warfare, drone swarms, and skilled human commanders proved unbeatable. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "we're receiving surrender signals from multiple Council ships." "Accept all surrenders," Walker ordered. "Show them that humanity knows how to be merciful in victory." The battle lasted less than 6 hours. What had started as the largest fleet in Council history ended as the largest mass surrender in galactic history. Over 1,500 Council ships gave up rather than face complete destruction. As the last shots faded away, Walker opened a channel to all ships, both human and alien. "Let this be the last battle between our peoples," he said. "Earth didn't want this war. We didn't start this fight, but we have finished it. Now let's build something better together." The sight of Earth's relatively small fleet surrounded by surrendered Council vessels became an iconic image across the galaxy. It showed not just humanity's military power, but their efficiency, innovation, and ability to win decisively without needless destruction. "Send word to Earth," Walker ordered. "The final resistance is broken. The galaxy is ready for real change." As his words were transmitted, the stars seemed a little brighter. The universe had changed forever, and humanity had led that change. Not through conquest, but through a perfect blend of strength, intelligence, and determination. 1 month after the final battle, the newly formed Galactic Assembly gathered in its temporary headquarters on Earth's moon. The massive dome of Armstrong City housed representatives from over 300 alien species, including many who had never been allowed full Council membership before. Admiral Walker stood at the main podium, his dress uniform gleaming under the lights. Before him sat not just military leaders and politicians, but scientists, artists, and philosophers from across the galaxy. This was how humanity had always imagined first contact should be. 3 months ago, Walker began, the old Council threatened Earth with destruction. They thought we were primitive because we still used chemical rockets. They thought we were weak because we hadn't joined their alliance. They were wrong. The assembled aliens murmured in agreement. Many of them had watched recordings of Earth's victories, studying how this supposedly primitive species had outfought and outfought the galaxy's greatest power. "But today isn't about our victory," Walker continued. "It's about what we do with that victory. Earth didn't fight to become the new Council. We fought to end the very idea that any one species should control all others." Dr. Anderson stood up next, carrying a small device that made several alien representatives lean forward in curiosity. "This," he said, holding it up, "is a database containing all of Earth's technological achievements. Not just our advanced tech, but everything. From the wheel to quantum computers. We're sharing it with every species here." The room erupted in surprised conversation. Under the old Council, technology had been used as a weapon, shared only to create dependency. This was unheard of. But that's not all. Ambassador Thompson added, joining them at the podium. "We're also sharing our mistakes, our failures, the paths that didn't work. Because real progress comes not just from success, but from learning from failure." President Martinez, who had flown from Earth for this historic moment, stepped forward. "The new Galactic Assembly will be different from the old Council in every way. No species will be called primitive. No technology will be forbidden. No world will be threatened with destruction for choosing its own path." She gestured to the Earth hanging in the lunar sky outside the dome. "Look at our world. We humans fought each other for thousands of years. We nearly destroyed ourselves more than once. But we learned. We grew. We figured out how to keep our warrior spirit while building peace. That's what we offer the galaxy. Not perfection, but the wisdom to learn from mistakes." Walker took over again. "Some of you have asked why Earth had so many movies and books about alien invasions. Now you know. We were preparing. Not just our weapons and defenses, but our minds. We imagined every possibility, planned for every scenario. And when the real threat came, we were ready. But now," he smiled, "we can write new stories. Stories about cooperation, about discovery, about different species working together to explore the universe." The assembly erupted in applause. Species that had been enemies for centuries found themselves standing together, united by a new vision of galactic civilization. As the applause died down, a young alien representative raised her hand. But what if someone else tries to do what the old council did? What if they try to control everything again? Walker's smile turned serious. Then they'll learn the same lesson the council did. Humanity will always stand against tyranny, against control, against the idea that any power has the right to threaten peaceful worlds. We're not the galaxy's rulers, we're its guardians. The newly elected assembly leader, an alien from one of the formerly oppressed outer worlds, stepped forward. Let the record show that on this day, the galaxy entered a new age. Not an age of council control or Earth dominance, but an age of true cooperation. And let them show that it began because one primitive species dared to stand up and say no to tyranny. As the session ended, Walker looked out at Earth shining in the black sky. Humanity had not only survived its first galactic war, it had changed the very nature of galactic civilization. Not through conquest, but through a perfect blend of strength, wisdom, and an unshakable belief in freedom. The universe would never be the same, and that was exactly what humanity had been preparing for all along.